we come to the end of the final weeks of the liturgical year, I think Mother Church in her great wisdom charges us to reflect upon the end of the world, the end times, and the end of our own mortal life, that we'll all die one day. Cardinal Schönberg, who's the Archbishop in Vienna, Austria, recently wrote this: something strange has taken place in recent years. Christians have lost touch with heaven. Without an awareness of the big picture, we can get swallowed up in a life only for this world and live life only for ourselves. Today's readings give us the big picture. We must have a yearning, a longing for the resurrection. Today's first reading from the Old Testament of 2 Maccabees, we see a family who stands up for the faith and goes before the torturers for the religious practices and the religious beliefs. That all of them are willing to die for their faith. They put their faith on the line. They suffer mutilation, torture, execution. The family of 8, all and their mother, were martyred. What is a martyr? A martyr is one who lives the faith heroically because they believe in a higher realm, a transcendent life. A lot of us get short-circuited. We just live for the here and now. Satisfy the needy me, the greedy me, the selfish me, and forget the redeemed me. We bet our lives and wage them our entire life on the line for our faith like they did. Even the torturers thought that they had strong convictions and a firm faith and a transcendent reality. In life, we all face opposition. In life, we all face persecution. In life, we all face trials. And hopefully, they purify us. They strengthen us. Because life is both bitterness and sweetness. And we must keep them in a balance. Paul was ready to risk arrest, torture, and death for preaching the gospel because he believed in the resurrection. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, he speaks of the resurrection and says, what is sown is perishable. What is raised is imperishable. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness. It is raised in power. It is sown in physical body, but raised in a spiritual body. If there is a physical body, there is also a spiritual body. During Jesus' day, there was 2 dominant groups in Jewish society that Jesus was always sparring with, in combat with, crossing swords. Well, today we get the Sadducees. They were very wealthy, aristocratic, very powerful Jewish sect. All their beliefs were in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. If you go to a Jewish synagogue today, that's all they read from. It's from the Torah, the instruction. Well, in the Torah, there's no afterlife. In the Torah, there's no belief in angels. In the Torah, there's no resurrection from the dead. So the Sadducees believed that all of God's plan and all of God's covenant promises were for this current life. And that death was the end of everybody's story. They had no use for the afterlife. Someone said in the New Testament, Jesus is grilled 183 questions. And of 183 questions, he only answers 3 questions directly. he skirts the issue in today's gospel. He doesn't face the question head on. The Sadducees are in the temple, and it's Jesus' last week of life. And Jesus spoke with conviction and urgency to the Sadducees and to you and I tonight that he leaves no doubt that there is a resurrection of the dead. He says the people of this age, they marry and are given in marriage. They're considered worthy to be part of the age to come in the resurrection of the dead. But in the resurrection, there's not going to be marriage. People won't be given in marriage. Why? Because they'll be like angels. They'll be children of God. They'll be children of the resurrection. I ask myself on a daily basis, if people witness me for one day long, would they realize that I'm a child of the resurrection? Do I live in a different way? Do I think in a different way? Do I speak in a different way? Well, Jesus reminded them that Moses spoke of the resurrection. He spoke of the resurrection of our patriarchs. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. You're going to live forever. So Jesus says, Moses spoke about resurrection. Don't forget it. The central event, the basic truth of our Christian faith, is the greatest hope of our life is our eternal destiny. That we will live with God forever. Jesus saw the big picture, and he wants to restore each one of us to his original plan of a world of justice, of a world of peace, of a world of forgiveness, a world of wholeness, where we would be children of the resurrection. Just recently, there was a Pew Research study that said only 20% of people in the United States of America claim to be Catholic. 27% of people are nones. No religious affiliation at all. Remember, America primarily was a Protestant country. Our forefathers. You know, St. John Vianney, I think, said it best. Life on earth is like checking in on a motel overnight. Our true destination is in heaven. Why do we live in the motel like we're going to live here forever? Everything and everyone that we undertake in this life should orientate our lives to the resurrection. That's a momentous revelation. That we belong completely to God and entirely to God. Our body and our soul, our flesh and our bones, our mind and our heart, our past and our future, our senses and our faculties. Death is not the end of our story, any of our stories. Death does not have the last word of life. Jesus opened for us a new life, a new freedom, of great peace and lasting joy, where there's no more injustice, no more suffering, no more sin, no more sickness, no more pain, no more evil, no more crosses. In closing, I was talking with a man today who lives right near the memorial site of Shanksville. And he said, Father, have you ever gone there where Flight 993 went down? He said, it's surreal. It's hallowed there. It's holy. I only live 3 miles from there, but it's so beautiful to see that people come from around the world to visit that site of such a remote place where I live. It's a strange place, a strange world. Cardinal Schoenberg says, if we are not aware of the big picture and have heaven in our sights.